Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Since it is almost time to start our garden, I figured we would do a few gardening projects with Trinity. I went and picked up these great books from the library. I really love them. They have lots of cool projects in them that are kid-friendly. Plus, it also has recipes so they can do the whole garden to table thing with what they plant. And one of the projects in there involves fairies, one of Trinity's favorite things. And I'll show you that in just a minute. The fairy project is what we're going to use these other items for. I've been saving these empty jars. We use them to store herbs in and for craft projects like this. And we'll also be using this. It is a sea glass spray. It comes in different colors. This just happens to be the one that I have on hand. You can usually get it at any local hardware store, and you spray it onto the glass jars after they've been cleaned, of course, and it makes it look like sea glass. It's pretty cool. It's semi-translucent, as you can see. It gives it like a frosted look. It says it is for indoor use only, but what we do is we will frost the glass, take it outside and use it during barbecues and things, and then bring it back inside. This particular project that we're going to do with Trinity involves making fairy lanterns for a fairy garden. So this is what this is for, and I'll show you that project in just a moment. Now, the book that I found the project in is this one. It's Ready, Set, Go, and it is part of the DK series. And as you can see, this one is part of the DK series too. This is Grow It, Cook It. And both of them have gardening projects in it. We're going to be doing several of them. Again, we got them from the local library. I love our local library very much. It's a great place to go. And sometimes it's a lot easier to find stuff there than it is on the internet, believe it or not. I mean, who would think to look for some of these projects? You know, and here they're all in one book, so you can just flip through and find all different projects to do with the kids. Like I said, we're going to do a lot of them. The one that I wanted to show you is, let's see if I can find it here, the fairy ring. It's part of the fairy ring project. And there you go. You can see the glass bottles in action. Basically, they stick little tea candles in there and hang them up on the trees to make a little set of lanterns, and then they plant grass to make a fairy ring. Now, as you know, we have a fairy house that Trinity has been visiting. She visited it last summer, and you can see footage of that in her video library. We are doing a remodel on the fairy house this year because the weather has taken its toll on the little fairy items. So this will be part of the fairy house and fairy garden remodel. And instead of regular candles, I think we may go ahead and use the flameless ones, you know, little tea lights that are battery operated, because that way she can go ahead and light them, you know, as she wants. And instead of hanging them in the trees, we're just going to set them on the ground or set them on the stump near the fairy tree. At least that is the plan at the moment. Now, my first step is to do the grown-up part of the project, which is scrape off the labels and go ahead and prep the glass for the initial base coats of the sea glass paint. That goes on first, and then the kids go on, as you can see here, and paint little fairies onto it. And that's the part that we're going to have Trinity do, is paint her little fairies onto the glass. But I will go ahead, like I said, and do the base coat first. Probably take 2 or 3 base coats to do. To remove the labels, I am using a razor blade, of course, and then any residual glue I'm going to remove with a bottle of Goo Gone. I love Goo Gone. It's great for removing different sticky labels and tape and things from glass jars and other items. So we're going to go ahead and get that done, and I will show you what the glasses look like once I have them spray painted. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys this. That is the scraper that I use to take the labels off of the bottles. I've already got 2 completely off, and the other one I'm probably going to have to soak a little bit. And I just realized I am out of Goo Gone, so that gives me a good excuse to share one of my other tips. If you are out of Goo Gone, grab some nail polish remover. Now, ladies, you know there's several different kinds of nail polish remover. There's acetone and non-acetone. So for this, you want to go ahead and use the 100% acetone. Just put a little on a cloth and rub the sticky part that you see where the, glue left some residue, and it will go ahead and take it off, and I'll show you in just a minute what I mean. Okay, there you go. You can see exactly what I mean. I just put a little bit, just a little dab will do ya, on a old dish towel and rubbed it along the glass, and you can see it took that residual stickiness off of the glass. So these two are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and take them outside and spray paint them so you can see what the translucent paint looks like. Okay, we're outside now at my workstation. I've got my Krylon Sea Glass spray in rose. Turn the glasses upside down, or the jars upside down. Shook the can, and now we're going to go ahead and spray that on there. And as you can see, as I'm doing this, it comes out very light. And I don't mind that it's making, running down and making lines, because I think in this application it'll just kind of add to the overall look. Okay, and you can see it goes on really, really light. So you can make it as pale as you want. See, very pale. And I'm not quite sure how pale I want them. We want it obviously translucent enough for the light to come through, but not too translucent where it looks like a regular pickle jar. We want it to look magical. So let's see how this works out. Okay. Alright, I think that's good for the first coat. We'll let that sit for a little bit, and then come back out and take a look at the translucence. Well, take a look at the translucent nature of it, let's put it that way, and see if we want to add any more. While we're out here, I'm also going to go ahead and show you the fairy house so you can see what we mean about it needing an overhaul. Alright, here we are at the fairy house. You can see winter was not kind to it. We had some more climbing vines. They go crazy around here, the climbing vines. And they have lots of pickers, you can see in here. There's kudzu and all kinds of things that grow in our area. So we're going to go ahead and need to trim off this extra foliage. For one, all these vines, they need to go away. And then we're going to have to clean around here. See all the fall leaves that blew there. We generally leave the leaves in the back section here for mulching purposes. We don't worry about it too much. And we're going to have to clean that all out. Here's our butterfly from last year. These still seem to be stable enough. But down here we had, you can see there was windows and doors. And the windows and doors need to be repainted and, well, actually replaced, because they look like they're a little rotted. So we'll need to paint some new ones, replace them, and before we put them on the tree, give them a healthy coat of polyacrylic. And we want to plant some flowers, make a border edging and plant some flowers around this stump so the fairies have some flowers for their garden. And we'll add those lanterns like we talked about. Maybe they'll get to go on these little stands that you see. Last year we stuck gnomes and little figurines on there. Trinity would leave presents for the fairies, and they would leave presents for her inside that hole there, the hidey hole, and on those little platforms. So we may use the platforms this year for the fairy lanterns, and then clean up the hidey hole and do something different where they can leave notes and treasures for each other. But all in good time. First things first, we're going to finish the lanterns. Alright, so I am back outside to check on the glass jars, and I am also going to just go ahead and start cutting down some of those vines. So I've got the gardening gloves out, and I'm going to go get my clippers and start that. I'll give you a look at what the jars are doing in just a moment. Head on over there. I'm getting the gardening beds ready, spraying it with weed killers and all kinds of other things. Okay, that's what the jars look like with that first coat. See? Now I will spray them this way to get the lip, and I kind of like the way that looks, so that's good. We'll spray the top part, but first I'm going to go ahead and cut some of those vines down. Okay, while the jars are drying, I went ahead and pulled off some of the vines. As you can see, some are really high up, and Michael will have to get those with a pole saw. I know how to use the pole saw. I could do it myself, but he has to service it, and that I don't know how to do. Working on small engines isn't my thing, so he's gonna have to go ahead and get the pole saw working, and then we can take down some of those other branches, which will drop those big old hanging vines. What I did do was cut the vines away that were easily accessible to me, raked it up in a pile. Eventually we'll be raking a lot more of this and then burning it, but for now I just wanted to clear away from the stump so that we can go ahead and start formulating our fairy house. I do want to make a little flower garden this year around it with some shade flowers, so I got some spare scrap lumber there that we have, and I'm going to go ahead and use that to make a little frame to go around the tree stump, and then later on we'll fill that in with dirt and flowers once the frost is over. But that is what it looks like so far, and when I was cleaning I did find one of our little gnome dudes that had gotten lost in the leaves, so we'll put him there. And I'm going to in a minute work on spray painting those little platforms, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But first, let's go take a peek at those fairy lanterns. There's what they look like with a third coat. Like I said, it did the runny part, which was fine with me. I think it adds something to it. I kind of was going for a rough, magical kind of look, because you figure we're going to paint on top of it and maybe add some glitter and other things, so wasn't too concerned about the drippage. And next, like I said, I'm going to go inside the shed and grab some of my other art supplies and work on spray painting those little platforms. Alright, what I did, instead of taking the little platforms off, I'm going to cover the surrounding area with some old plastic bags. That way I don't have to take them off, and then just go ahead and spray paint them some bright colors. The first tier I'm going to do this marigold yellow, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. Okay, again, I'm just using regular spray paint. It's stuff that we've had left over in my work shed, and so there's really no rhyme or reason to the colors, other than I wanted to go with bright ones that may attract butterflies. We went with, like I said, the yellow, marigold yellow for the bottom tier, and then key lime green and like an aqua blue for the top tiers. I'm going to have to probably use more than one coat, and we'll let them dry. While that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and get my electric drill and start making the base for our fairy garden. Alright, that's what it looks like so far. The battery ran out on my drill, so we're going to go ahead and have to stop for now, let it charge, and then I can re-shore up that top level for our little fairy garden. And once I do, I will continue to show you updates on our project.